Hello everybody, the Lord Root here, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Play Kerbal Space Program. We've done a lot within the Kerbin system, but it's time for us to start thinking a little bit bigger. We're running out of science, because I guess we could potentially, do work on the moon. We would have to do a lot of things in order to do that, so I'm not really that thrilled about the idea. But incidentally, we do have a probe that we're going to send to one of the most unlikely of places because there is no real launch window for it, and that is the sun, as you could probably tell. So we have, at this point, this very complex craft. It's got a lot of delta V on it. I think it's in total it's got 15,000 meters per second of delta V. But we want to get it up into the atmosphere, and from the atmosphere we're going to take a rather strange trajectory that I'll talk about later. One that certainly does make a little bit less sense at first glance, but it's necessary even for something kind of like this in order for us to truly be able to get our the trajectory we want. So, of course, I've modified our Streptococcus design a little bit. I took out that third pair of main cell engines because it's really not all that necessary. And of course, I've, removed, I've added fuel, I've replaced that central engine with a scupper, because by the time we're done, we will actually have more than enough delta V in order to get out. But with that having been said, we do want to get this thing off the ground and into orbit. That probe probably looks a little small from your perspective. In fact, I did a lot of testing with it. It seems that this configuration does give us a fair amount of delta V. If I wanted to, I could add another pair of tanks to bring it up to 10,000 meters per second. But it's not strictly necessary that we do so. And we should be hitting our target velocity pretty soon. Unfortunately, by taking that skipper engine out, we do lose a little bit in the way of lift, but this will get us up to 4K like we might have normally expected, and we're going to run on that last pair of engines until pretty much until we get out of the atmosphere. And so that's going to be good for us. It's kind of hard to judge here. I may want to crank back just a little bit, save some fuel. In fact, I'm going to bring this down just a little bit, even though we're already going probably a little bit faster in terminal velocity at the moment for our particular height. In fact, I'm going to scale back a good amount, because we want to get this thing into orbit with as much fuel as possible. And that's going to be, it's not going to be hard per se, but It's probably not going to be easy either. And I'll just leave it here. We'll do our gravity turn here in a bit. So, there we go. We'll just bring this thing on over. And we will perform our gravity turn. Now we probably are going to be slightly inclined because there's really no way to get this perfect, but you can see that second stage is lasting us a fairly long time. We're going to throttle up here in a bit and discard what remains of that. The hope is that this booster will get us exactly where we need to go. We still are gaining velocity quite quickly, in fact. And we are just very slightly inclined because we're not perfectly lined up on the nav ball, but that'll be okay. We're just going to get this thing up to a nice, burn for us to begin moving forward. That will be happening presently. And so, we will be making, we'll be turning over here in just a little bit. And as we'll see, this will last us a fairly good while. So I'm gonna start turning over now. Unfortunately, this thing is not going to be easy to keep in line. There we go. And bring that time to apoapse down just a little bit. Normally you wouldn't want that, but in this case, we don't really mind so much now, do we? We will be getting our, yeah, this is actually a fairly efficient rocket, all things considered. And we will be handling that pretty easily. The one nice thing, of course, is that this thing has better ISP on the core stage than with the main cell, which may seem like a bit of a problem at first, but we actually do want our main cell, or we do want better ISP on this stage because we're going to do solar injection with this, or solar transfer orbit rather, and that, as it turns out, takes a lot more delta V than you might really think. But we are almost running out of fuel here, and that will be important for us. And you know what? Let's just go ahead and drain this engine, because we will be running out shortly. So now, you know what? Maybe I better get out of the way of these guys. That wouldn't be a nice thing to run into. But orbit is a little bit higher than, you know, I originally wanted. But that's okay. I mean, we got a full orange tank up into orbit, which is not a bad little feat for us to have. I mean, even with that one, you know, one skipper engine, it's not really a bad deal for us. So we're hopefully going to reach Appalaps pretty soon. And when that happens, you know, we'll just have to make our burn. It helps for us to be circular in this case, although in reality, what I could really do at this point is I could just burn straight on. We don't really need, you know, we don't really need, a hugely efficient deal. So what we'll do, we'll actually scale this down. That's a bit much for us. We want to bring this guy, you know, we want to bring this guy over a bit. That's going to be where most of our Delta V is spent. But coincidentally, it's also going to make it easier for us, to reach where we're going. And you know what, we should be burning about now. So it's a 7-minute burn, but it'll be worth it. In fact, I'm not entirely sure that I trust that 7-minute mark. Yeah, I mean, we are. We'll just go ahead and burn now. You'll notice we've actually, in this particular path, we've taken, this still, and I do actually want to do one thing while I'm talking. We do need to deploy solar panels, because it would not be good to be without power. But, at any rate, you know, we're actually increasing our apoapsis, which seems rather strange, but this way we can do a bioelectric transfer to get about as close to the sun as we need. Otherwise, we would probably spend our whole Delta V budget getting this guy, you know, into orbit around the sun. Because, the other way, of course, is burning inwards. And in order to get that close to the sun, I mean, we'll be coming in at some 41,000 meters per second. And you can see we're doing our rotation now. We're just getting this guy on down there. And we will reach this new apoapsis in about 14 days. That is really, quite quite a thing to contend with. Of course, we still have plenty of fuel. And we're going to probably end up a little bit closer. 13 days. Yeah. We'll just leave it there. We don't really need much more in the way of burning. And we have saved ourselves rather quite a good deal of time. Now what you'll notice is that burning from sunrise, actually getting down to the sun takes about 8 or so meters a second at delta V. And we have to get back because this is a sample return mission. However, what we can do is we can now bring this guy on down. And that'll take, let's just get it in a little bit closer. It'll take about 6,000 meters a second per delta V. I could have actually burned for a little bit less aggressively. That would have worked. I mean, it's, there's really nothing wrong with an aggressive burn as such. Or, I guess aside from the delta V requirements, but really what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get this thing done quickly. We'll set an alarm for that maneuver node. That's going to take about 3 minutes and 26 seconds. Let's give ourselves, I don't know, maybe a minute and some change. That seems appropriate. If we do that, see, 130 is 3, so we need at least 15 more seconds. I'm going to give us 150 so we can be oriented correctly, and this will inject us into the sun's orbit. Now, of course, this is a long process, and even I'll just give you an idea what 15 days looks like. I mean, nobody else is really doing anything at the moment. But we will, hit that 15 days. And or 13 days rather. I mean, even at maximum dive acceleration, that's the same node it looks like. This takes forever in a day. You know what, I think I might go over. We're so close to apoapse that it really doesn't matter, but take a look at that. Like, that is a very close burn. You could see this stage is pretty much going to be spent. When I had the main cell on this, I guess, it was worth pointing out that this thing was way less robust. I mean, this thing is actually getting quite a bit of, firepower out of it. However, we are about to stage, it looks like. Unfortunately, stage only doesn't really show that. But there we go, of course. We're leaving behind that one stage, which is probably going to be doomed to collide with Minmus. And this, of course, is a good reason for us to do time acceleration. Because, at this point, you know, we're really lowering our periapsis quite a bit. I'm just going to bring this down, try to maintain some semblance of control. Because unfortunately, this is a rather sensitive procedure. But you see, the nice thing about these engines here is that we're going to have about half of our fuel left in those external tanks. And I built this probe with that specifically in mind. I mean, this thing by far is going to have about maybe 6,000 meters of delta V, because I think it's 7.5 thousand meters of delta V in total that's on this thing. But I'm just going to straighten this thing out. We're getting, you know, pretty close. We're gonna cut engines to save on fuel just a little bit, because we don't want to descend too far into the sign. We're close enough as it is. I mean, this is a fairly good orbit. And so our next plan here is we're gonna get down here, take some science, and more or less we're going to decrease our orbital period a little bit, because what you'll notice from here is that it's actually going to be very difficult to that's another 47 days we have to get down there, as opposed to here this is 10 days less, although really we could come down lower. But that's still quite a bit of delta V, and as it turns out, we need to save some of that for braking. So we'll just get poised for that burn, and we will you know, we'll do our thing, because we do, of course, want to use the Obert effect to get back in. So that is that's more or less our burn. It's gonna take a minute and 43 seconds, so the way I see it, if I give myself 45 seconds, that'll give me time to adjust. I'll be so close in that Well, really, yeah, if I just give myself maybe not 45 seconds, but let's just go with a minute. That seems to be the best deal there. So that's in 23 days. That's better than our 37-day deal. Of course, time has ticked down since then. But we do want this mission to be short, so I'm just going to save here. And I'm going to start on another mission that we've pretty much, been working on in secret. And that mission was developed in part due to the need for more science. And I guess because really we've already done things that aren't they're not things that they're not really things we've done in the space program. Like, we've made an orbital moon base. We've in fact created a fuel depot. That's all fine and dandy, but we don't really need that. It's not that we don't need that. I mean, that's something that we could conceivably do in the near future, right? In real life. This is something that really we haven't even done with a probe until just very recently. And that is to leave the, or no, we have done it with a probe, I'm sorry. We haven't done it with a manned spacecraft. But, I mean, we've definitely left the Kerbin system with the probe. We haven't left, or not the Kerbin system, in our case, the Earth system, right? Oops, that is not any good. I wasn't paying attention to what I'm doing. Let's try that again. You'll have to forgive me, I've been working on both of these projects, a lot this week. In fact, the Sun probe was something I wanted to do for at least, 2 or 3 weeks, but I was having trouble figuring out the mechanics of it. And I did want to avoid the bioelliptic transfer, but that's the way, we would have had to do it. Just because there really is no other way. Not with the kind of spacecraft I had. So unfortunately, we have this, deal going on to where I'll just crank up that throttle a bit. It's very difficult to design a spacecraft with enough endurance in order to do what I was trying to do. This, on the other hand, is actually not that hard to do, and it'll shave some time off of our, it'll shave some time off of our flight, because we're doing it in parallel. But, anyway, the idea is, of course, that, we're going to get this thing up into the atmosphere. And I'm going to try and use a very... Whoa, we are not moving nearly as fast as I thought we were. We'll have to get ourselves up to speed. Now, where was I on this? Oh yeah, I guess we're, you know, I mean, this thing has a lot of endurance for what it is. And of course, it has the single person capsule on it, which is rather nice. Unfortunately, this thing gets a good 2.5 meters per second of delta V once it's in space. But it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. Because of that, we have a lot of things to think about. Because, we definitely do want to, this is going to be about a 14-day mission. And the guys, on the Minmus station, they're, whoa, I need to, that was a rather dangerous move on my part. The guys on the Minmus station, they're going to be able to watch this, of course, and watch Wilcas make history. But, maybe they're jealous, too. Maybe they're a little bit sad that Wilcas was the one that got chosen. We may actually have ourselves we're actually in a pretty good place here. I'm just going to continue burning, I think. Because I believe that we're actually going to have more than enough fuel in order to, and we're in the right spot too. Or just about the right spot. We're near sunset, which will bring us very slightly out of the, the Kerbin system. If you want to go inwards, of course, you burn towards, the other direction. You burn towards the sunset. So yeah, I'm not going to, I'm not going to worry too much about this. Because we do still have plenty of delta V here. And we are almost at orbital velocity. But we're going to, of course, have to get this thing up quite a good deal. Maybe that wasn't such a good idea. However, it will give us a decaying orbit there. If we just switch back to that thing, this thing should now be in a very eccentric orbit, and it should eventually decay. And that, we've actually got ourselves a pretty good head start on that. that's just going to bring us, if I zoom out, that should bring us more or less within the range we want to be in. So that's not all that bad. And this is a rather sprightly little craft. I'm just going to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to deploy these solar panels because it would be, again, unfortunate for us to lose that which we've worked so hard to attain. I'm sure Wilcas wouldn't be happy with me either. But as it stands, you know, we're actually getting kicked out pretty quickly. And I might have even overdid it on my burn here. Because we don't really want to there we go. We're fairly good, I think. We want to be able to easily get back. At this point, you know, well, first of all, I'm going to kill that maneuver node there because it's 117 days. Oh wait, that's actual time, I reckon. 7 days. Let's set Kerbin as our target. Did we get an encounter there? Well, nonetheless, I mean, let's wait until we get out of the system first, because, it would be premature to do anything else, really. I guess what I'm going to do in the meantime is I'm going to collect science from Menmus using our landers. I may put bits and pieces on the are we there yet? Oh wait, no, it's hours, not days. You know, I may put bits and pieces of that in the video, but it may turn out to be a little bit more boring than, let's see, set its target. You know, we're going to get out just a little bit, and I'm gonna do a retro burn just to get us in closer. What time is that? That's 105 days. That's not really what I would consider to be acceptable. Let's see. Is there a way to pull that down any? We may be. There we go. So that is 106 days. that is equally unacceptable. What we want to do is we want to do a Hohmann transfer. We want to meet up with Kerbin somewhere. Whoa. Actually, that is not bad. It's not exactly what I had planned for, because that's a 20-day thing. That'll more or less mean that we're going to hit our alarm clock before we hit this. Which will, of course, be fine. But, you know what? We'll set this up. That's a 46-second burn. If there's any way possible that we can... Actually, we don't really want that to be too short of a, it's a nice periapsis, too. We don't want that to be too short of a burn. If we can really just, we'll be going retrograde against the planet. I don't think there's going to be much of a way that we can influence the angle any. We don't really want that at too high of an inclination. Okay, so we're going to get this thing in a little bit sooner, as soon as we can get it. I think that will probably be the best we can do, though, and we'll just set a we'll set an alarm for that. We'll burn at maybe, oh, I don't know, it's 45. That's a hard call. We could do maybe 30 and burn at 22. In the meantime, we have science to do. And the gravity scan is arguably the thing that's the most worth it. Temperature scan can't be done. I must have missed something else that I could do in space. I'm trying to think. There really isn't all that much you can do in space, because you have you have things like the barometer and the accelerometer that just don't really work that way. And of course, we have good old Roger Wilco. I think it was Wilcas, I guess. He actually looks pretty damn happy about this. I'm waiting for him to, no, he is unreasonably happy. He must have a bit of stupidity going on. I mean, unfortunately, there's no real way that you can, see their expressions all that easily. I mean, this is not a large craft by any means. I think this is actually slightly smaller than Apollo was. That's a hard call to make, though. We can make an EVA report, of course. Of course, this is kind of like that Gemini astronaut that I forget his name. It was a guy who went on the first U.S. spacewalk. Even though he just flung himself out to space, he doesn't care. He finds that exciting for some reason, but basically the rules at the time were that because they didn't know how the sign would okay, stop that, that's getting annoying. Like, they didn't know like how the change in temperature was going to affect the astronauts. And because of that, okay, hold on. Oh, anyway, because of that, it's, wow, this is, I don't think I attempted to really do a spacewalk when I tested this. This guy is probably a little bit more screwed than he realizes. And unfortunately, there's no way that I'm aware of to really change his heading. So now he is moving away from the capsule at quite an alarming rate. Maybe the deal is that maybe the deal is that I don't think we can actually change the orientation of the... This is getting rather annoying. This is, why can I not change this dude's, heading? Because, I mean, he's... Okay, I get he's a Kerbal, but he should not be having, to my way of thinking, this much in the way of trouble getting in. We're steadily wasting our EVA fuel. The only thing I can really think of to do is maybe pivot the spacecraft some. So that way he's not a complete idiot. Okay. This could be a source of trouble for us, because I can't get back into the spacecraft, and this... Whoa. Out of the way. We're slowly burning our EVA fuel because somebody is too stupid to grab onto the side of the door. I mean, it's... yeah. Well, I'm gonna stop the video and figure this out. Okay, so this turned out to be a bug that was in the game. I almost canned the mission because of that. And it turns out that if you hit V and change your camera mode to free, then it is in fact possible to get back in. Because I was pointing towards the south, and I'm gonna quick save before I'll try this, but I'll show you like if we step out again and we let go, you know, do some moving around. Well, yeah, that's not quite what I wanted. Like we're going to, it's a little bit easier here, but yeah, it was a weird issue. So at any rate, we're more or less, you know, where we're supposed to be. It's a little bit annoying. I hope they fix that because it's a uh, pretty annoying little bug, but there's really not much you can do about it. Let's just bring this guy up. We'll restore our maneuver node, and we will go forward. At least at this point, we're now let me get in the proper orientation, wherever that may be. I think it's down here. Yeah, it's annoying to say the least. At least, you know, I didn't have to kill poor Wilcos. That would have probably been a little bit um, a little bit on the you know, disturbing side to say the least, killing them. At least I'm not as gutsy as some of the players on YouTube, and you know, at least I didn't do this on oh, oh there. That's 12 days. We'll just bring this guy in for as soon as we can. And it looks like we got ourselves a gravity assist of some kind. We'll be coming in a little bit fast, but that'll be okay. In the meantime, we'll give ourselves a 1 second margin. And we'll wait for the next 12 days, of course. And what we'll probably want to do here is, considering how fast we'll be coming in when we switch over with our sphere of influence. Hey, that's actually, that is not bad. I wonder, I mean, normally whenever you do something like this, you know, um, you end up, you know, screwing the pooch a little bit, but what, I guess what we really want to do is we want to come down here to our axis. We may need to get a little bit closer. Generally, you want to, and you know what, in reality, like, you know, we don't really have to be too close. And where is our barn direction? If that is our prograde, then let's just see if we can't bring that down to a reasonable amount. We do have plenty of fuel left over, and it has been quite an ordeal for us. But we'll aerobrake and get ourselves back into the atmosphere. It's going to be a little bit of a bumpy ride here. Except, wow. Yeah. We'll jump to ship and restore maneuver node. Let's, you know, fortunately for us, we are pretty close in here. You know, while we're at it, why don't we take some data? We'll keep that data. And, let's see, we do have temperature data on that. It turns out we didn't make the most efficient barn we could. Go figure. But at any rate, we'll get this guy down here. We have the at least the nice thing that's going on about this is that we'll just kill our, well, we don't need to kill our orbit just quite yet. But the nice thing that is going on with this is we still got plenty of fuel here left for this barn, which frankly surprises me. We may you know, we may be able to get this guy going yet. Yeah, let's set up a maneuver real quick, because that is something we will want to do. We may have to wait just a little bit, maybe one orbit. We will just quick save. Yeah, it's gonna be, whoa. Actually, if we can get our inclination, well, maybe not. I'm not sure if we would be able to get our inclination down soon enough. I mean, we can give it a shot. that would, and that would probably not be good for us, though. How inclined are we, anyway? I mean, we're not all that inclined. We'll just, I think we need to go take care of this other dude real quick, because it's a bit of a problem if we don't get him back to Earth. Oh, where is Hermes 1? We want to control from here. Now let's try this again. This time we won't do 100,000 times time warp. Because that caused us problems last time. I mean, these guys are more or less, you know, they are more or less, I guess, invincible. They don't have to eat, and they don't really have to do much else, but let's see, where is that? That's 4 minutes. I don't want to wait 4 minutes, though. And it's time to put back our solar panels. We're coming in moderately fast, not as fast as we could be, but we are coming in pretty fast. I'm just going to go ahead and let us arrow brake just a little bit. You can see our apoapsis is already coming down quite a bit. But at this point we're doing pretty good. And we will just you know what, we'll contribute to the Oberth effect just a little bit. I'm going to burn out this engine and just land wherever we can get to. Which apparently is somewhere right down here. At any rate, we don't really need this anymore. It doesn't have anything for us. But we will look in our capsule. You can see here that we're pretty close as it is. That's actually what we're looking for. whatever we do, we don't want to rip the parachute off the capsules, of course. This would probably not end well. You know what? Why don't we, while we're at it, I forgot to take it, but why don't we grab ourselves some atmosphere as well? So it's nearly a month that we've spent in space. Now, granted, most of it was at least intentional this time. I don't really know. We'll we'll do this. Oh, you know what? We forgot to grab a crew report while we were out. Well, I'm just going to have to remember to grab one next time. Because at some point we will be sending, um, a mission to Duna or whatever. And that will be well worth the effort. At any rate, we will recover this vessel and hopefully get something out of it. At least another 200 science or so. 354 science is, that's not bad. Oh no, we did get we got an EVA report. We didn't get a crew report. While we're here, we might as well get one or two things that we'll want. Definitely, these lander legs. And there's 300. We could save up. Because I'm thinking we should get about 600 back from the sign. But then again, we might not. Ion propulsion is tempting. But I think really this guy here would be good. That would give us radial attachment points and these docking ports and a heavy drill. Well, that is certainly worth considering. I mean, we'll have to see how our deal ends up going. But you know what? We'll just wait on that. Those landing legs, though, I did know that I wanted. And now it is time for us to focus on getting this guy returned home. And we'll just, we'll zoom out. We'll get them more or less lined up. Because, I mean, that's, that's really the only thing there is left to do. Let's, set this as our target. And we are, we're still quite a deal away, unfortunately. So we're going to, make one more pass around the sign. And that should give us plenty of time. I mean, now at this point at least, we should be, more or less... There we go. Now that could be tricky. That, that would pretty much be a thing that if we're not careful, that could lead us to trouble. However, I'm sure if we add, if we add this guy in, I'm thinking this will probably take about 2 minutes or so. We're right at apoapse, so if it, or periapse, so it won't really matter that much, but, um, yeah, I mean, it could take a while. I mean, that was close enough, it looks like. So, yeah, we'll at least do that. It's staggering, really, how much fuel we have in this thing. We could almost take this thing out to another planet. I mean, I don't really want to at this point, because I want to gather the science back from it, but it's an interesting thought, isn't it? Well, at any rate, um, we will be pretty close. And that will be enough for us at least to get this guy out there. Now I'm thinking, we'll probably half a year will have gone by waiting on this thing. And by that point, of course, we'll have finished surveying the moon, or Minmus rather. Let's see, I did, I did slightly overdo that, didn't I? That's, it's not quite what I had in mind. But yeah, you could see at this point we're the fastest thing in the solar system. And because this thing is having trouble deciding on whether or not we have an encounter, I guess because, it must, you know, it must, think we're... Now, what is going on here? That is kind of bizarre. You know what, I'm just going to wait for Kerbal alarm clock to wake me up on this dude's return, which is going to be quite a different challenge for us, as it turns out. Because one thing that we're going to have to worry about, at least in this case, is, well, you know, we're gonna have to worry about, this guy, more or less, hauling gas into the, either hauling gas into the planet, or, you know, something completely different. So projected periapsis we want. We want this guy to be as low as possible. We'll try for that. And in fact, while that does seem like a lot of delta V, you have to remember we still have much of this fuel tank. I mean, I guess in reality, like, maybe I just, you know, didn't think too much about this. But at any rate, we're going to do our burn. And we will want to be careful about this because, of course, we're going to be turning fairly rapidly, which in fact means I need to take it off time acceleration because that could be bad. In fact, I'm just going to watch Flight Engineer. Because Flight Engineer will tell us how close we are on fulfilling this. We could probably, at this point, you know, we could even discard these things now, but 15 is going to be close, but it's going to be good enough. And we could use the rest of this fuel for braking. So these guys over here, they're hopefully going to fall into the planet. And we are going to get as close in as we can. We're going insanely fast, not as fast as, you know, not as fast as we could be. But fast enough to where, you know, we do not have the torque to deal with this. And I'm just going to use this rocket here to perform some braking. Because otherwise we may not be able to brake in time. And that is going to be unfortunate for us. However, if these engines are good for anything, they're good for this. And at this point, we are more or less, we are more or less, braking effectively. Have we not actually done this correctly, then, and before I forget, I'm just going to drop my parachutes. Have we not done this correctly, then it would be a problem for us. And that we would either come crashing into the planet at what would eventually be like, I don't know, 2,000, 3,000 meters per second, or we would completely miss. Which would, not bode well for us, to say the least. Anyway, we should be touching down here in a bit. And I'll just do some of the other sciencey stuff off screen. But we'll see what we have at the moment. That was a 118-day mission. That was like a third of a year at least. But that's my fastest time on this, actually. I'm getting better at piloting. We definitely, we may not need to actually do science on Minmus to get what we want. We just might leave that for another video. I mean, definitely I'm going to take this and, I'm going to take, that's a hard call. Probe bodies, this large probe would be useful, but I think in reality, this would be more useful for us. We could do maybe one more mission, but we don't need this large probe yet. At any rate, this has been Thy Lord Root, and I will see y'all later.